Hey, hello. Let's get started. It's the first time I use a QuickTime player to record a screen video, so hopefully everything looks great. So in this video, I will go through the homeworks and projects I have done in this class one by one from the very beginning. Um, okay, let's get started. The current page is a major profile of the blogs.org. So URL is showing here, so you can see that I list all the projects I have ever done um, in this class from the very first one. Okay, let's start the first one. I should change this name. It's still showing as a fresh block. Okay, this data is a PhD numbers produced in the United States in 2015 and split by different major categories. Okay, the data set, you can click the link to get it. So the reason I choose this is personally I got a PhD in chemistry, which belongs to this physical science and earth science. So by the time I graduated in 2014, I'm really interested in how many people are getting PhDs every year in the United States. So I do remember I saw this data before. So I thought it would be a great start point for this visualization course. So I just find it and download it and generate this one. As we can see, the life science generate most about 23% of the PhDs. It's a lot. It does make sense. It's because life science is really a unsolved problem, and it's very hot in academic and generate a lot of papers and publications, something like that. So computer science, although I'm just getting masters in here, but computer science only have like 7%. It's really um, it's precious. Okay, so the D3 and HTML, JavaScript, and D3 was forked from the current first homework template, and I guess the first one is really quite easy. Is the only thing I did change. I didn't really change anything about this. It's just settings and defining the CVG. So I just put the data in here, replace the old data, and basically that's it. And also I changed the percentage, because previously the percentage here is 100%. I just count or manually count the sum of all this and hard code it in here to make it show up. So really not much difference as a template. So this is the first one. Okay, we'll go to the second one. Second one, it's the same thing. The second homework is find 3 data sets and plot use scatters, and it can be one of the 3 data sets or can be the previous one. I just choose to use the previous one. That's why it's the same thing as the previous one. So from the code part, it was forked from a template current shares of the scatter plot. So I didn't at the same. It's as you see, the first 2 is not really hard because it's just a start point. So basically, I just the first different thing is I load those data, put in the data.cvs and load it through and load it in, read in, and this part is way we define how we read the data. We just convert the values from string to to integers or int. So when we do that, and I also did a slide from 0 to 6. So as you can see, it only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It only shows 6 in there. So it's kind of 0 to 5. 6 is not included. So this is the only change I did for the second one. It's not yeah. Okay, the third one, the third 3 is the 3 summaries. It's a summary of 3 data set I find. personally, I'm very interested in how internet changed the world. So I just find the data about this topic. So the first one is a summary of the internet users versus a country's GDP. As you see, it has 9,000 rows, and uh, it's a summary of that. And the thing, this I spent some time trying to figure out how, because in the very beginning this has 6 columns. It doesn't all show in here in the very beginning. It's just showed part of it. So that's a place that I spent some time to figure it out. The solution was that because of this one, if I remove that, all this text will become an unformatted text. Okay, this text was looped through here. It will loop from the data set and generate the how many rows or how many what rows inside there. But if you don't apply here or you remove this, it will be unformatted string text of everything. So I tried to find a better way to lay it out, but it seems it didn't work. I didn't find one. So eventually I just changed the settings and enlarge this showing board to define that it can show all the contents. Okay, so similarly for the second one is the internet users of different regions in the world. It's not GDP. It's just different region, different continent, like the North America, Europe, East Asia. So technically, the code part it's quite the same as that one. Loop through the data, load the data, loop through the data to get the summary, and then to show those summaries on the top using the predefined format. So this is a concept. This is a concept. The difference between this one and that one, I just figure out if we can add the scrolls in the settings, it can show in here. So, but yeah. So the third one is a summary of the mobile phone subscriptions in different countries from 1980 to 2013. This is a topic because this is a good topic is because mobile subscriptions should increase, especially when the smartphones comes out and people can do a lot of things. It's kind of a computer now, so it is a computer now. So this is what I'm just interested in since the first iPhone in 2017. As you can see, it has 6,000 rows with 4 columns. It's about year, subscriptions, countries, and a country code. So this probably would be one of the data set in my final project. I'm trying to combine all these 3 things together to a full final projects. For the code perspective, it's basically the same as the previous one. I define the scroll bars in here. You can scroll down, or you can just make this larger to make it contains everything. Okay, this is here already. Okay, the next is the recreate of the curved lines. So I choose this lines, straight lines, 2 curved lines thing in that Google Doc. So how to do that? The first thing is, okay, in D3, if you want to make a straight line, just define the start point and define the end point and link them together. That's it. But for the curved line, you need to, for example, the second curved line, you need 4 points. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. So if you link them as a straight line, it will be like with a very hard angles. If you want to make it curved, you need to choose some kind of different here. I will talk about that later. So the first is define all this spot. For the first one, we just define it's because it's a straight line. We just define the start point and ending point x and y's For the second, define 4. For the third, define 5 because it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then, okay, this is defined SVG. Then we'll start drawing lines. So the first line is straight line. You just pass. It's just the line. The difference between the curved line and the straight line is in here. You need to define it. You need to add a parameter, make it curved, then using d3 dot curve cardinals, and it will be curved based on the points you defined. So I make that figure 3 groups: group 0, group 1, and group 3, group 2. So I'm just keep adding that group 0, group 1, group 2, and put the data array 0 you define on the top, and data array 1 and data array 2, because we're appending path, the line is already defined there, so it will draw as how you defined. Okay, I guess that's it, right, for this project. Okay, the next thing is draw some figures based on the data set you find. Basically, it's this mobile subscription, internet user in different regions, and internet user based on with the country's GDP. So this one is internet users of the different region. I draw this as a scatter. So as you can see here, it's a different regions of the world, and interestingly, this East Asia and Pacific jumps like crazily since 2015. So I guess majorly it's because of a lot of the large populations of China and Indian stays in East Asia, and they got a lot of populations to jump it out. Europe and Central Asia is the next. There is something really interesting is that for North America, it seems after 2006, 2007, it's flat. So that means it's saturated. So it's about 300 millions of internet users. And if we think about the population of North America, United States, Canada, it's around this number, probably a little bigger. So it's almost saturated. But if you think about the East Asia, for now, it's just at the most, it's just 1,200 millions. But in East Asia, and Indian alone has this much populations, right? And China has a similar, and it still has the space to grow up furtherly. So this is something interesting, maybe. Okay, from the code point, again, I merged from current template. One of the template, he defines several and let us choose one. I just choose the scatter ones. So it start here and read the data in and convert the data, pick up the rows, convert the string to the integers, and okay, I should go through from the very beginning. So here are just defining some numbers, some value, constant variables. I think year to be x value, it's just defining, there's nothing special in here. So define SVG and apply the width, and width is here, and this is just defining how it shows up. Okay, then starting from here to here, it defines these two labels, and yeah, these two are two labels. If you move up and down or rotate, you can change from here. And scale, it's X scale is how you want the data to be populated in here. And yeah, this is just regular. Okay, this one. Okay, so when you load year, it has separators between the first letter and the last three because they think it's kind of 1,000. We have separators between 1 and the 3 zeros behind. So to get rid of that, you need to get to reformat that numbers. So in this way, this line of code will remove the separators of the year. And I also did that for the separators of the internet users. It doesn't have a separator between 1 and 200. So I'm just not get used to that kind of format. So, okay, so define the color legend. And this is convert data we have mentioned before. And then you choose circle, select all circles. It'll populate in this way. This is from the format. So yeah, basically that's all the thing. You can define the opacity. You can define how large the circles you want it to be. If you change it smaller, if you change it bigger, it will be like every circle is big, something like that. Okay, so the last one is molecular subscriptions in the United States. So this is just a simple one generated from another data set is that mobile subscription in different countries. I just to pick up the United States. So as you can see, it's almost saturated in here. So almost everyone subscribe a phone. There are some gaps in there, but you can't say probably someone is, just want to stick with old-fashioned or just always have the prepaid phones. But most people already get involved. So the start point, load the data set, convert the data to the from string to integers. And okay, so here we append a path because we want it to be a line. We don't want it to be a scattered spot. So yeah, I guess this really is quite the similar as that the previous one. It's just we change some settings. Okay, so how I select the countries from the United States is when you read the data, you only return those rows of data if the entity, which is a countries, is United States. You can define a couple of things to select different countries, but it's kind of a similar thing as here. Okay, the last one is GDP per capita by countries from 2000 from last century to now. So this is kind of different concept of visualization as before, not code perspective, but what it shows in here. So you can see the highest is the United States. It stays around, let's say, 40,000 to 50,000, this gap. But the last one, surprisingly, it's Brazil, China, and India. Those countries, these countries are defined as it's not advanced countries. That's why, because overall GDP, they're not in this position. It's kind of grows super fast within the past 10 years. But because of the large population, increasing population, the per capita GDP stays still in very low position. So in the middle, this I guess is Russia. Yeah, it's Russia, and these two are France and Japan, and yeah, France and Japan. These two are world defined as a advanced developing countries, something like that. There is a point we should get noted because almost every country is get affected is around the economic issue we run at 2008, 2009. A lot of the GDP per capita drops during that period of time. Yeah, from code perspective, it's kind of quite similar to this one as I showed before. It's just because it's from the different data set. The code are quite similar, except how you read the data, what data you want to get in there. I just define the year range and define the countries you want to show in here. So it has all different countries. You can add more, you can delete more, something like that. So here it's exactly the same as that previously. And yeah, basically this is all the things I've accomplished for projects. From code, the D3 JavaScript code, it's really, you need to tweak this and there, and you need to change some point based on the data set. And but the general idea is you define some constant from the data. These are from the data set, and get the general settings of the SVG and settings of what the labels we want to show in here and here, and setting the this area is about this and that, and then convert the data. This is a color legend, and this is about here, and yeah, then read the data and populate it and map it and show it. Yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you very much.